Deeper into one of those countries, we've got the German ambassador, Andreas Peschke, here with us in studio. Andreas, it's great to have you here with us. And I must say, listening to the comments from, was it the Chancellor or the President or both, but some glowing remarks about a way forward and the ways in which Germany can compact with Africa.
Yeah, actually, I mean, this compact with Africa is a big support to the priorities of the South African presidency of the G20. I mean, it was an initiative taken a couple of years back within the framework of the G20. It's co-chaired by South Africa and Germany. And I mean, the gist of it is to boost private investment on the African continent. So, I mean, the priorities of the presidency being the overall priorities, solidarity, equality, sustainability. So private investment on the continent, boosting private investment is actually quite important as one part of this bigger effort. And, you know, we wanted to use, together with the South African presidency, to use this summit to give a real new impetus to this initiative. And as the Prime Minister of Ethiopia has just said, we want to have a global compact with Africa 2.0, so to put it on another level.
I mean, one is the appetite from private on the part of the investors, and on the other hand, what are the stumbling blocks? What are the impediments to more investment?
Well, I would say there are two big issues that we need to address. One is investment conditions. I mean, all over, in Germany, in South Africa, on the African continent. Investors won't come when the conditions are not right. I mean, this is private capital. And for them, you know, they come also because they are good persons, but they also, you know, at the end of the day, they have a responsibility vis-à-vis their shareholders. So investment conditions need to be right, and you know, that means cutting down on red tape. Our Chancellor said so today at the plenary. That means fighting corruption. That means making things less bureaucratic when you want to set up a business or an enterprise. So this is one thing. And another thing is, there's actually quite some initiatives in the room which try to boost investment. You know, there's the World Bank, there is the B20 within the G20, there's the African Union, and we have this strong initiative of the Compact with Africa. And what we try to do now is, on the next stage, is to create synergies. You know, not that everybody is working in his own segment, but that everybody kind of joins forces and works together towards the bigger end. So we had actually at the B20, when business leaders met, also here in Joburg a couple of days back, we also had a session on the compact just to get all those captains of industry on board for it.
And in those discussions, I mean, you've raised some really practical points about things that might hamper investment. As keen as an investor might be to put their money on the African continent or indeed in South Africa, there are very real things that we are struggling with as a country. Corruption is one of them. We have now fortunately been removed from grey listing, so that's been a positive thing.
Congratulations.
Yes, it's a very important development. But those are the kinds of real red tape that will take time to address. Yeah,
it takes time and effort, I would say. That's why we need to work on these things, not just at the summit.
Right.
I think actually we need to work on them in the implementation every day over a longer period of time. So that's why we need to kind of put instruments and implementation mechanisms in place that really address these issues. So if you break it down, I mean, we have the compact, we have the monitoring, but we also have quite practical cooperation between Germany and South Africa, between South Africa and other international partners and international organizations, really to address the issues of red tape, of good governance, of cutting down on corruption. I mean, these are important issues. Actually, not it's the same in Germany. We have similar issues. We have a big bureaucracy. We have infrastructure problems. So we need to cooperate on these issues on a daily level. And one of the things which also come to mind is is infrastructure actually. Industry cannot flourish without electricity, without good ports, without good railroads and stuff. So, and actually on energy, there's a strong cooperation, South Africa, Germany, really on a very practical basis. And, what South Africa did in terms of overcoming load shedding, was really good for the people of South Africa, but has even better for the industry. We have BMW in the country, we have Mercedes-Benz, we have Volkswagen. Those companies, without electricity, they are severely hampered. So that is one of the issues we need to address really in a day-to-day and very practical.
What is your sense, though? Because, the government has been patting itself on the back, saying they are dealing with all these issues that investors tend to raise. You look at improvements, what Eskom has done on the electricity front, the visa regime, in other words, all these things that are under Operation Vulindlela, which are trying to address investor community's concerns. Is it also your sense that there has been a great deal of movement in addressing the concerns that the investor community has raised? In other words, as you are working towards to make sure that this compact actually work, has it been your experience? In other words, what the government has been saying, we're doing and we're trying our utmost best to address these concerns. Is it your sense that they are indeed addressing the concerns?
Actually, I would say it's work in progress. So to give credit where it is due, there is progress. There's a remarkable progress. So we had a poll among our businesses. We have a Chamber of Commerce here in South Africa, 600 German companies in South Africa, a significant amount of companies. And actually the outlook among those companies was optimistic, even under very difficult geopolitical and geoeconomic circumstances. And that speaks to the fact that progress has been achieved. But, you mentioned electricity. There has been some progress. And the energy availability of coal-fired power stations has increased. That's one. But another important factor is the modernization of energy supply. The fact that renewables are coming to the grid has also helped the situation. So modernization and a better power supply go hand in hand. This is progress. And then, there's a lot of talk about GNU. What has the GNU achieved and stuff? And to me, when I'm asked, it's not even the bigger politics. I'm a diplomat. I'm not a politician. I leave that to the politicians. But what really is remarkable is the commitment in individual ministries. So on the visa front, you have mentioned it. That has been a big issue for our companies. There really has been improvement because people said, no, we need to deliver. We have heard what, So there's improvement, but obviously we still have a long way to go. If you look at water...
It's the pace at which these things are or aren't happening.
And then, at railroads and stuff. But then even our companies are saying, there's a lot of talk in South Africa about Transnet, for instance. But then, I talk to our companies and they're saying, we notice signs of that something is happening. And that is good. It tells us we still need to go a long way, but the signs are there. What has happened to electricity is actually a positive sign that we can solve issues.
It is. It has taken long enough, but yes, it is a sign that these things can be solved. I suppose my question, Ambassador, is about, the compact with Africa sounds incredibly romantic. It sounds incredibly magnanimous. I just wonder whether there are mechanisms for accountability, for timelines, for businesses to say, we would like to stay in your country, but until A, B, and C are fixed, and it's fixed within this timeline, we'll be pulling out. I mean, is that accountability mechanism even there?
Well, the compact with Africa is a dialogue process on the framework conditions. So it is not like a company itself. It is about addressing the problems and then exchanging experiences how to tackle them and helping each other to tackle them. So, I mean, the timelines is by company commitment themselves.
Yeah.
I mean, a company will still stay only as long as the conditions are right or that the conditions become right again. So, and what the compact does is actually maybe to increase the sensibility and sensitivity of governments who are willing to join, to listen to what business needs. I mean, there's no country where investment is God-given. So I think it's up to the government and the country to create the right conditions. And for this, you need to listen. You cannot just tell investors, yeah, you do ABC, and my country is so beautiful, you come. You're actually in a global competition. So you need to listen to those guys, what do you need to be in our country? And that is actually a mindset. And maybe this is reinforced by the compact discussions, we have. Maybe in that there's a value. And then this, you know, I was tempted to say peer pressure, but this peer mechanism, you know.
I like peer pressure.
Yeah, I mean, you know, there's South Africa, there's Ghana, there's Ethiopia, as we have seen, there's Kenya, and everybody's competing on creating the right conditions. In Europe, we have Germany, we have Hungary, we have France, and investors are going around. They are shopping around, actually. And this can actually also create a kind of competitiveness for countries to do right, which is good.
Which is ultimately good for citizens.
Yeah.
Two things for me. Is there a is there criteria for a country to belong to the compact? And if a country has to justify it to its people, what can it say are the advantages of belonging to this club as well?
Well, the main criteria is a certain amount of reform-mindedness. So there's a readiness for government and the country to say, okay, we are willing to embark on a course of reforms. And then I think it's decided by the two chairs, which is basically Germany and South Africa, by the group and by the secretariat. So the latest edition is actually going to be Angola.
Angola, yes, is joining.
And then last year we had
15.
And last year we had Zambia, which under their new president also undertook a significant amount of reform efforts. So, and you know, the membership in the compact then is a further incentive to follow up on this course of reform. But I think the reform-mindedness, that is the basic entry ticket for the compact.
But how much room or latitude do countries have? In other words, to say, you may not like this about me, but I have to do this for the sake of my country, whatever the reason. And the reason I'm asking this is because Germans, for example, have not been shy when it comes to their electricity, about doing what Germany believes is what needs to be done at that particular point to protect or look after the interests of Germany. If it's politically incorrect because, let's say, you're going back to coal-fired, power stations, it seems your stance is, well, so be it, because that becomes important for our country and for our economy.
Well, it's an interesting question because there has been a myth also propagated by people who may be interested in it, that Germany has gone back to coal. It's not true. 3 years ago, when Russia started its war against Ukraine, a couple of weeks later, they cut us off all gas supply. One day to the other. cut us off. And gas was 40% of German electricity energy supply. So actually we were really in an emergency situation. We had to replace 40% of our supply. So we are trying to source, we have been very strong on renewables now. We have 55% renewables in Germany. We try to...
In what space of time did you achieve that?
It's also an interesting question because you said we did what is right. Actually, it's in Germany as in South Africa, it's a very controversial process. I mean, there are, many issues to be taken into account. There have been politicians, there have been activists saying, no, we need to keep our coal and stuff, and we need to pay attention to the jobs that are linked to the coal economy. Actually very similar discussion. And one day when I would like to take you to Germany, to our coal areas where we manage the transition, it's very interesting to see. So one day or the other...
Just a note for our viewers, that is lightning and thunder at the Nasrec Expo Center.
As we say...
There's nothing to worry about.
Mvula, rain is a blessing, eh? So it's a good sign for the summit, isn't it?
Whew. But finish your thought, please.
But then, so we went down, and there was a couple of months actually when we in 2022, beginning 2023, when we actually sourced a little bit more coal. We had to unpack 2 or 3 coal-fired power stations, which had already been out of operation, and we tried to get a little bit more coal. We would have got more from South Africa. At the time, actually, ultimately bought it from Colombia because in South Africa, because of infrastructure, it couldn't be brought to the port. So, but this has been reversed. Now, I think our coal sourcing has been going down again, and we are we have a legislation to phase out coal by 2038. So it's in the law.
Yeah.
So it's a strong commitment, isn't it?
It is. Ambassador, let me thank you for your time, and thanks for bearing with us with the rain and the different noises coming through here on the roof of the Nasrec Expo Center. It's been a pleasure talking to you. German Ambassador Andreas Peschke joining us there. We were talking all things compact with Africa. It's just coming